theory. But once she comes to that realization, she is renowned for persevering. Her participation is a statement in and of itself. It indicates that this case is handled as a high-priority homicide by the district attorney's office. It indicates that they are entering the battle with their most powerful weaponry. It also indicates that they anticipate a conflict. It is not common for Silverman to accept flyers on weak cases. She is presenting a case to a grand jury because she believes she can prevail. She has a reputation for identifying the loose thread in a witness's account and tugging until the whole thing falls apart. Witnesses who have testified before the grand jury have been questioned in depth and with little room for doubt. In addition to what happened, prosecutors have focused on when it occurred, who was aware of it, and the actions taken in response. Surface-level answers have not been prioritized over accountability and awareness. David's daily manager, Robert Morgan Roth, has been one of the most important witnesses to date. His frequent appearances before the grand jury have not gone unnoticed. Prosecutors believe he has crucial knowledge regarding the circumstances behind Celeste Rivas's death, as evidenced by each visit. Sources familiar with Morgan Roth's testimony claim that he was questioned at length about his actions and inactions during crucial times. Inside the grand jury room, the plan has been very clear. Surround the main target by applying pressure to those closest to him. The decisions made by those in David's inner circle during the crucial days and hours leading up to Celeste Rivas's death have been the focus of prosecutors. Allegedly, he asked him why he didn't call the police. His response that it was not his fault has become dominant in conversations among people who have been following the case. That response is significant because prosecutors don't ask this kind of inquiry unless they believe a crime was committed and the witness knew of conditions that were serious enough to call the police right away. It is implied that others close to David might have known more than they initially admitted, rather than just that something went wrong. Not his responsibility is a chilling defense. Legally, it could be an attempt to distance himself from the offense and present his role as purely professional. But it lands with a huge, menacing thud in the context of a homicide inquiry. You don't ask someone why they didn't report it when they spilled coffee. You ask them why they didn't report a body. You ask them why they didn't report a felony. Although Morgan Roth's testimony is still under wraps, sources claim that his answers did not allay prosecutors' concerns. Rather, they seem to have reinforced the perception that key people didn't act at crucial times. This relates to the more general concept of collective failure that prosecutors seem to be developing. The idea that while David was the primary actor, he was surrounded by enablers who put the tour, the brand, and the company ahead of Celeste Rivas's life. This inaction is now being examined not just as a moral transgression, but also as a potential legal one.
The finding of Celeste Rivas's body inside David's Tesla is crucial to the case. One of the most concerning parts of the case, according to investigators, is this fact. Her death was found in his car, which instantly limited the investigation's scope and created unanswered issues. We have to stop and think about how important that reality is. A phone record, a witness sighting, or a motivation are examples of circumstantial evidence that links the suspect and the victim in many homicide investigations. In this case, the link is instantaneous and physical. The suspect's personal car was where the victim was discovered. This made it impossible for a stranger to conduct a random crime. It put David in complete control of the death. The timing before that discovery has been closely scrutinized by authorities. David unexpectedly traveled to Santa Barbara in the spring. Based on what is known, he came late at night, stayed there for a short while, and then left for Los Angeles. The reason for the journey and its goal have not been made apparent. Driving to Santa Barbara doesn't seem like a crime. However, every movement is examined for intent in the context of a murder case. Why that night, the prosecution asks? Why at that particular moment? Why did the excursion last so little time? Was there a meeting? Was it an effort to get rid of evidence? Was there a panic moment? The Tesla carrying Celeste's body was discovered next to a house David had been renting shortly after. That site has grown to be a significant attraction. According to reports, the residence was rented not directly under David's name, but rather under the name of a co-manager connected to Morgan Roth's business. This information is not incidental to investigators. It implies a conscious attempt to set up structures in ways that could now make accountability more difficult. One could argue that David was merely a visitor and a temporary occupant because the house was rented through a third party. Prosecutors, however, are peering behind that curtain. They view the rental agreement as proof of a lifestyle intended to avoid responsibility rather than as a defense. Yes, it makes the paper trail more difficult, but it also exposes those who orchestrated it. It connects the management group to the body's location. According to law enforcement authorities, these factors are taken into consideration as a whole rather than separately. The journey, the car, the body's location, and the participation of individuals in David's professional network are all being examined as components of a unified event sequence. The journey ends at the residence. The car is accessible from the house. The body is reached by the automobile. This sequence, according to the prosecution, tells a story that they are now ready to deliver in court. It is the tale of a death that happened, the terror that followed, and an awkward last-ditch effort to hide the truth that eventually failed. Celeste Rivas's death is being investigated as a homicide by the district attorney's office and the Los Angeles Police Department. David is regarded as the main suspect in that context. Investigators don't think he acted alone, though. Rather, they believe that others may have helped him, either by facilitating specific activities or by neglecting to step in when it could have been necessary. The argument gets considerably more complicated at this point. The district attorney's office has developed a notion of cooperation or support. This help may have come in a variety of ways. It might have made it easier for the car to maneuver. It might have contributed to the scene's cleanup. It might have been offering fictitious justifications. People who were in charge of David's personal and professional affairs, had access to his car, or were aware of his whereabouts have received special attention. Prosecutors are particularly curious about what these people knew and when they knew it, according to sources. The chronology of information is crucial. It is obstruction of justice as well as a moral failing if someone knew Celeste was dead and did nothing for days or weeks. That is an after-the-fact accessory. Who had the Tesla's keys? Who was aware of the rental house's code? During the impromptu journey to Santa Barbara, who was in charge of his schedule? One of the main topics of conversation now is the potential for more indictments. Prosecutors are anticipated to file charges against at least one additional individual, according to those with knowledge of the matter. These possible accusations could be related to obstruction, aiding and abetting, or other crimes related to Celeste Rivas's demise. This tactic is frequently used in intricate prosecutions. In addition to charging the primary offender, you also charge the accomplices. Leverage is produced. The smaller players are forced to choose between cutting a deal and going down with the ship. The net is getting bigger. David was the initial emphasis, but it has since broadened to include the equipment that keeps him safe.
No arrests have been made thus far, despite the growing body of evidence in close examination. Some have questioned if the case is proceeding too slowly as a result of this. However, legal experts point out that the lack of prompt arrests is not a sign of weakness. Prosecutors frequently take more time to make sure every element is taken into account in complicated cases involving well-known people. They are aware that time runs out as soon as they submit charges. Discovery must be turned over, they must go through bail hearings, they must endure initial motions. They are front-loading the work by employing the grand jury. Before the charges are even brought, they are securing the testimony under oath. They are ensuring that when they do move, it will be with tremendous power. Trials and grand jury proceedings are essentially different. The threshold is probable cause rather than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Witnesses are not cross-examined in the conventional sense, and the defense does not make its case. The goal of the procedure is not to find out if a person is guilty, but rather if formal charges should be brought. The evidence is presented in a biased manner. Grand juries nearly always return indictments when prosecutors request them due to this system. It is supported by the statistics. The district attorney often receives an indictment if they request one. The district attorney's office believes it has already reached the necessary level to move forward, according to several sources. The body is with them. The automobile is theirs. They have the timeline-related witness testimony. The remaining choice seems to be more about timing than content. Prosecutors are not needed to wait until the hearing, which is set for February. They may decide to wait to make sure that every possible defendant is named in a single indictment, or they may decide to file charges sooner. In any case, sources claim that the case is getting close to a turning point. In essence, the investigation is finished. The decision-making stage is coming to a close. The prosecution stage has begun. The grand jury has not heard David's testimony. He would most likely claim his Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination if called. His silence at this point is both expected and wise from a legal standpoint. It also indicates that there hasn't been much opposition to the story being developed within the grand jury room. The prosecution's version of events is being presented to the jury. They are listening to the manager's responses. They are seeing the Tesla pictures. David's side of the story is not being heard. The narrative is being written against him and without him. Giving testimony in front of a grand jury is a trap. He would be vulnerable to Beth Silverman's interrogation if he didn't have a lawyer present to advise him. The case is under increasing pressure as witnesses continue to speak and evidence is scrutinized. Those close to the investigation are now characterizing what was previously an ambiguous tale as a case with a clear course and a predetermined endpoint. The initial month's bewilderment has vanished. A grand jury subpoena's specificity has taken the place of the initial police report's ambiguity. The details of the rental agreement, the date of the travel to Santa Barbara, and the forensic evidence from the car have all been put together into an indictment. The grand jury's secrecy will end with the issuance of an indictment. The case will proceed in an open courtroom, the accusations will be made public, and the charges will be detailed in court documents. The evidence gathered behind closed doors will then be put to the test in front of the public. At last, we shall see the full scope of the evidence gathered by the prosecution. The GPS information, the autopsy findings, and the text messages will all be visible to us. However, the investigation's main focus will continue to be Celeste Rivas's death. Until then, the prosecution seems to be certain that responsibility is necessary and that the incident was not an accident.
The quiet surrounding the case intensifies as the judicial proceedings progress, bearing with it the expectation that everyone's life would be irrevocably altered once the truth is discovered. It wasn't his responsibility, according to the manager, the pals who said nothing, and the car's driver, the singer. The period of silence and perplexity has ended. The People v. David case is going to start. The quiet before the storm is almost past, and the next court dispute will probably make headlines for months or even years to come. The fundamental reality, however, is still hidden behind the headlines. A life was lost, and a system is now working to restore equilibrium. David's life has fundamentally changed as a result of this move from a missing persons investigation to a grand jury investigation. The grand jury is called by the district attorney's office to finalize answers, not just to ask questions.
The fact that Beth Silverman is spearheading the effort implies that harsh responses are anticipated. The indictment will probably be thorough when it is released because of her reputation for thoroughness. There won't just be a homicide charge. There will probably be a story about the days before and after the killing, one that will expose not only David, but also the system that sustains him. It is impossible to overstate Robert Morgan Roth's contribution to this. His testimony offers insight into David's team's perspective during the crisis. His statement that he thought calling the police was not his responsibility points to a degree of disengagement that prosecutors will probably take advantage of. It depicts a group of individuals who are more focused on handling a problem than covering a catastrophe. A jury can be swayed against the defendant by this kind of detail. It implies conceit. It implies a conviction that they are exempt from the laws that govern everyone else. In addition, the tangible proof is putting David in a box that is difficult to escape. The Tesla is a small space. It's a private area. The discovery of a body there cannot be dismissed as a miscommunication. Transport is implied. It suggests ownership. The circumstantial evidence starts to solidify into direct evidence when combined with the trip to Santa Barbara, which now appears more like a mission than a vacation. In order to determine precisely who was driving and where they went, the prosecution are probably creating a timeline that monitors the car's movements minute by minute and compares it with cell phone tower pings and witness accounts. This is further complicated by the rented home. The team may have believed they were safeguarding David's privacy by renting it through a co-manager. However, they were leaving a trail of complicity in the eyes of the law. Everyone engaged in that rental arrangement is now a person of interest if Celeste was concealed in that house or if it was the location of her death. The deliberate effort to structure arrangements mentioned in the sources is now understood to be an intent roadmap. It demonstrates that there was a scheme to omit David's name from the documentation, but it has now backfired dramatically. For David, the joint enterprise theory is possibly the most hazardous. The crime appears more planned if prosecutors can persuade a juror or grand jury that David had assistance. It transforms it from an accident or a passionate event into a plot. In addition, it makes the defense extremely vulnerable. There may be witnesses if there are accomplices. The entire argument may fall apart if prosecutors are able to convince one of those accomplices to trade their silence for a lower sentence. These anonymous people must be under tremendous pressure. They must decide between liberty and allegiance. Arrest delays are a sign of readiness rather than hesitancy. The defense team will be of the highest caliber in high-profile cases. Every piece of evidence, warrant, and process will be contested by them. Prosecutors know this. They are taking their time because of this. The case is being bulletproofed. They are ensuring that they have more than enough evidence to get a conviction when they appear in court. They're predicting the defense's actions and preventing them before they happen. This tactic is tested on the grand jury.
David's sole protection at the moment is his silence. He avoids giving the prosecution any leverage by entering a Fifth Amendment plea. However, he is powerless to prevent the grand jury from hearing the opposing viewpoint. He is powerless to prevent the text messages from being entered into the log. He is powerless to prevent the autopsy pictures from being displayed. Without his input, the story is being created, and it will be extremely difficult to alter once it is sealed in an indictment. Before hearing his defense, the charges will be made public. The district attorney's office will make the first impression. The next few weeks will be crucial. The indictment could occur at any time, but the hearing in February serves as a marker. The media lockdown will end when it does. The witnesses' names will be known. The particular charges will be disclosed. The autopsy specifics will probably be made public. We will unravel the mystery surrounding the journey to Santa Barbara, and a court of law will ultimately provide an answer to the responsibility question. Celeste Rivas's family has endured a protracted and excruciating wait. Her death may have felt erased by the hush that surrounded it. Despite its glacial pace, the justice system is moving forward. The force behind that justice is the grand jury. It is the means by which the state asserts that a life matters and that the reality of how it ended cannot be hidden by fame or cautious management. The prosecution is persuaded.
The evidence is consistent. Testimony is being given by the witnesses. The indictment is also imminent. We are seeing the disintegration of a celebrity shield as we watch this play out. We are witnessing what occurs when the artificiality of a controlled image collides with the reality of a homicide investigation. Nothing will remain unchanged as a result of the collision. There is no longer any silence. There is less misunderstanding now. All that remains is the stark, indisputable truth of a case that has the potential to upend the entertainment industry. Prosecutors are crafting a story that goes beyond a single killing to include decisions made in the aftermath. The decision to drive to Santa Barbara is at issue. The decision to rent a home in a different name. The decision not to make a police call. The decisions that lead to an indictment include the decision to claim, "It's not my responsibility," and David is standing at the end of the road. Celeste Rivas's story is no longer a mystery. It's a case. A prosecution is underway, and the full force of the law is on its way. The questions that have loomed over this case for months will be answered in the coming days. However, it appears that the district attorney's office has already discovered the most important solution, the answer to the question of who is at fault. They only need to say it out loud. This case is a somber reminder that the same laws are in place behind the velvet ropes and the controlled public appearances. No matter how far it is driven in the middle of night or how deeply buried it is, the truth always manages to come to light when a tragedy strikes. The grand jury is that truth's tool. The world will soon learn of their decision. As the indictment is unsealed and the court hearings start, we will keep an eye on this case. The outcome is far from guaranteed, the stakes are quite high, and the details are complicated. One thing is certain, though: the quiet is ended. Please remember to click the subscribe button if you thought this in-depth analysis of the court proceedings was instructive and would like to be informed when the indictment is made public and the trials start. Every development in the People versus David case will be discussed as it occurs. Please let me know in the comments section below if you believe the joint enterprise notion points to a cover-up or merely panic. What do you think of the manager's responsibility account statement? If you like the research, please share your opinions and like the video. I'll see you in the next one.